Hey guys, it's me, Roku, here with another Darius video. This time we're going to go over some more tough matchups in the top lane, including a few that you guys have been asking for years at this point. As usual, I'm not going to be wasting our time with unnecessary stuff, and if you don't know their abilities, you should go and learn them, because there's nothing I can tell you that will help you beat a champion that you don't know the abilities of. So go to that wiki, learn their abilities, then enjoy this video. Anyway, let's get right into it. The first matchup we're going to cover in this video is Riven. Riven is probably the matchup I've been asked about the most, and here is all the information you need. Riven is an extremely dangerous champion who can basically one-shot you if you make a single mistake. She has the ability to take short trades, she can basically grind you down over time, and she also has the damage to kill you in a single go. If you basically just let her get her entire combo off, she just destroys you without you even being able to fight back, because she has crowd control in her kit. Her crowd control is not that much, but it's just enough to stop you from fighting back. Riven is the definition of overpowered, because she's basically destroyed high elo top lane for the entire season at this point. But how do we beat her down? Playing against Riven is like trying to get through a minefield, and each mine is just a mistake that you can make. So you have to just walk through this minefield while avoiding every single mistake, because if you make just one, that's it. She kills you, and her champion snowballs the hardest, so it's just gonna be a bad time for you and your team. In order to contextualize all the rules and stuff you have to follow, I have to first explain how Rivens use each of their abilities, because this is a very complicated champion. First off, Riven's Q. Most of Riven's damage comes from her Q combo, and by her Q combo, I mean the combo where she uses each of her Qs for her auto attack resets. So auto attack Q, auto attack, right click, like that combo, basically. I know they name their combos the shy combo or whatever to make themselves think they're good players, but it's all BS. It's the Q combo. So what her Q combo is, it basically combines her Q's auto resets with her passive to do insane amounts of damage with just this one ability. And in addition to all of that, it also stacks up her Conquer with just that ability. So it's just really powerful, and you have to avoid it at all costs. Her W is an AoE stun that's instant, and is basically there to stop you from fighting back. It also functions as a way to cancel some of her abilities into each other. Her E is how she avoids your damage abilities, so for Darius your Q, and basically her way of getting away from trades before you can retaliate against her. So there we go, we understand all of her abilities. Her Q is her damage, her W is how she stops you from fighting back, and her E is her escape. Now that we understand all of her abilities, let's talk about the rules. Rule number 1. Don't Q if she has her E up, okay? Not only does this allow her to dodge your Q, the time it takes to basically wind up your Q, so 0.75 seconds, is enough time for the Riven to get her entire combo off on you. And since you basically wasted your Q since she's gonna dodge it, you can't actually trade back at her. And if you don't do it properly, you can basically leave yourself in position to be killed if she has Ignite. Number 2, which is basically the biggest mistake you can make, is to pull her if she has all of her abilities up. This is what Riven players want you to do, because if you pull her, she is in perfect range to get off her entire combo and just waste you, because you're not kiting her Q, you're not avoiding her W, and God forbid if she has Ignite. If you just pull her while she has all of her abilities up, you are dead. Number 3, don't eat her entire Q combo. As mentioned before, her Q combo is basically all of her damage. If you avoid her Q combo, she deals nothing. It is an insane amount of damage, but if you're able to kite her Q, then you can basically just fight her without her damage being in the equation, you know? You can kite this ability using Ghost, Strikebreaker, or even your E if you are, good enough. Riven's auto attack range is only 125, so kiting her is a little bit easy, considering how Darius has 175. You just have to play it properly. Number 4, avoid her W. The same way we have to avoid her Q, we also have to avoid her W, because her W is the way she avoids you from fighting back. She goes in, she does her damage, and then W. And while you're stunned, you can't pull her or slow her, she just goes away. So you have to avoid her W. I do this sometimes by just walking out of its range, but that's more of an experience thing. So try to understand how big it is, and kite it like you would an auto attack. The general idea when it comes to killing Riven is you have to force her to waste her abilities, okay? If you let her get on top of you without wasting any of her abilities, she will kill you just instantly, okay? You have to keep her like at a distance, okay? For Darius, it's your 175 auto range, but in general, you have to just keep her at arm's length and just kite her, because if Riven gets in melee range, she can get her entire Q combo off on you, okay? So kite her, get her to waste her abilities, and once she wastes her E or her Q, then you go back in and bash her head in. It really is just the same idea against many challenging matchups for Darius. You have to kite them, so you have to kite her. Stridebreaker is very useful into this matchup because in addition to a first item Ninja Tabi Rush, Stridebreaker helps you just slow her, and the slow is a 3-second slow, which allows you to kite her very effectively. So you can just fight her, Stridebreak, walk away, then walk back in once her Q's out. Okay, so it lets you just avoid a big part of a combo, and Stride Slow is very useful for these kind of matchups. Second Wind is also more recommended if you're not too comfortable with a matchup. Like, if you cannot really guarantee that you'll avoid her abilities, then Second Wind is better because you can kind of just have a bit of sustain. But if you understand her range, then Bone Plating is a great choice as it lets you just force fights and not take any damage from her short trades. The next matchup that I'll be covering is Fiora. Fiora is an entirely different demon to fight because she has all of the tools in her kit to deal with you and everyone in top lane. The difference between specific Fiora players is so massive that we kind of have to adapt in-game to create a plan to neutralize her in the middle of the lane. I know, Darius players using their brains, haha, but we really have to. There are a few things we can do and know in order to hedge our bets in our favor. The biggest thing to understand about Fiora is how her vitals spawn. Okay, so the way Fiora's vitals spawn is kinda tricky to understand, but once you get the hang of it, it's, you can kind of expect where the next vital is gonna spawn. Okay? So, Fiora has 4 vitals, and you can split these vitals into 2 groups. So, up and right are in one group, bottom and left are in the other group. Now, why are we splitting it into groups? Basically, when you hit a vital from one group, a vital from the other group spawns, okay? So this is from top and right. So if I hit this, a vital that's either on the bottom or the left will spawn. Now, this is where the RNG of it comes in, because you don't know which one of the two from the other group it will spawn on, but you 100% know that it will not be the vital that's on the same group. Okay? So, I hit the bottom one, and now it spawns on the right. That's the other group. Right one of these two, here. Okay? That's basically how Fiora's vitals spawn. One thing to note about Fiora's vitals is that the first time she sees you as a champion, like level 1, the vital that first spawns will always be on the bottom or on the left. And this basically lets her take really good trades, like really early on level 1, the first time she faces you, so try to be a bit careful of that. Now, Fiora's vitals can always be resetted by walking out of her vision, so I'm going to put a ward here. So once Fiora goes out of her own vision, boom, the vital is gone. And it kind of treats it just like it has been procced, so the vital is on this group, top right, so I walk out of the range. And when I walk back in, the vital is going to spawn on the other group, okay? So walking out of Fiora's vision is basically the same case as, like, proccing it. Or her proccing it, rather. This is also like how, let's say, this is like my enemy, right? And Fiora walks into her vision, boom. This is probably one of the worst vitals because it's right, she can really easily just get it without even dashing. So you walk out of her range, and you 100% know that it will spawn on either top of you or to the right of you, which is really perfect for avoiding it, because, now she just kind of reach around to get it. So, yeah, you can kind of just reset the vital and get a better one to work with. With all that being said, here are a few more tips to help you beat her. First off, dodge her riposte. Riposte, and that's the ability where she blocks the CC, is one of the most overloaded abilities in the game. It slows your auto attacks, it slows you, it stops damage, and it stops CC. And if it even hits you, she wins the trade. It's such an overpowered ability. If the Fiora doesn't even block anything, and she hits you with it, she wins the trade. So try your best to sidestep it. If you can sidestep it though, she basically lets her get killed by it, because without riposte, she is in prime condition to be destroyed. The second tip is to keep your back to a wall if there is a vital facing it. This way, Fiora cannot proc the vital that is inside the wall, because she can't really dash inside of it, okay? This is especially useful when she's using her ultimate, because when she's using her passive vitals, the spawn is a bit RNG, but when she's using her ultimate, you can guarantee to hide a vital behind a wall. One thing you should avoid at all costs is to not have your pull blocked by riposte. And that goes for any champion where you have CC like Set E or whatever. Don't have that blocked by her, because if she stuns you, 2 seconds is more than enough to get all 4 of her vitals down, and even if the Fiora player has brain damaged and 3 fingers, she can get all of her vitals during the stun, so please use your E carefully. You can either surprise her and stun her early, or you can wait for her riposte first and stun her late. Okay, and this is the part where you have to adapt to the specific player, okay? If she uses her riposte to just block your Q damage, then you can wait for her to use her riposte, because she's not going to use that for anything important. But if she keeps her riposte, then you might be able to surprise her by using it early. It all depends on the specific Fiora player. A trick you can do is to ult her during your E. When you E people as Darius, you're keeping them knocked up, aka stunned, and you can use all of your abilities during the stun, depending on how fast they are. You can do EQ, EW, or in our case, E ultimate. So if you have 4 stacks or 5 stacks, and you pull her, you can just ult her during your pull to get that damage off. If you have high enough attack speed, you can E, auto attack, ult, or EW ult during the stun of your E, and get all of that damage off guaranteed. At the end of the day, as long as you avoid her vitals and, play around her riposte properly, you will be able to beat her. But you should apply most of these tips in order to have a chance, because a good Fiora player can really punish you if you don't know these tricks. Irelia. The Irelia matchup is the simplest to explain, but she's also the cringiest out of the 4 horsemen of top lane, because unlike Fiora or Riven, where if you're clearly better, you can just outplay them, Irelia basically plays itself as a champion and takes 0 skill to lane with. The only thing that matters for the Irelia is whether she lands her E or not. It's just, that's it, okay? If she lands E, she wins the fight. If she misses it, she just dies. It's literally that simple. This champion does all this flashy, dashy BS, but her gameplay is basically just as deep as Illaoi. And I mean deep as in shallow as a puddle. Except Illaoi has actual weaknesses, whereas Aurelia's overpowered. Yeah, that is basically it. You just have to dodge her E. The way the ability works and how fast it is means that you have to always be paying attention. You can never autopilot. You always have to keep your eyes on the screen, because if you don't, she can basically get this really quick, stun off. And unlike Illaoi E, you can't really hide behind your minions, okay? So here's how to dodge Irelia E. When she places her first E down, you have to dodge in either a clockwise or a counterclockwise motion around the first point of E, okay? This is the most effective direction to walk in to avoid this ability. The big thing is that Irelia players who are smart sometimes wait for you to auto-attack and then they land their E. You have to just not stop at all. Okay, you always have to be moving. And if you start auto-attacking, you can't just cancel it with the S button and then keep moving, okay? You can never get hit by this ability, because if you do, you just die. It's way more important to avoid the ability than get an extra auto-attack in or something. Instead of just bothering with all this, though, you can't just rely on your summoner spells. Darius does have 2 summoner spells. Ghost makes it easy to dodge things, and Flash just lets you avoid them instantly, so yeah. You have 2 sums, she has 1 E, so try to make it count. Just dodge it properly, okay? After you avoid her E, the matchup is basically just you running after her and just killing her, because without her E, she's basically just worthless, okay? One great tip is to learn how to do your EQ combo, because Irelia can always Q in on you to avoid your Q, okay? So learn how to do the EQ combo. Great builds against Irelia are Boots, Warden's Mail, and Executioner's Calling. The reason I'm not saying Ninja Tabi's is because Ninja Tabi's passive does not block her passive magic damage, whereas Warden's Mail blocks a flat amount of damage from every auto attack. You can also pair up Warden's Mail with Ninja Tabi's to block the maximum amount of damage, but in my experience, just Warden's Mail is enough. You can't just build your boots against the rest of her team and just have Warden's Mail and Executioners to deal with her in lane. I also wanted to include Camille in this video, but I remembered that I've already made an entire video on how to deal with just Camille. So I'll leave her card up on the top right of the screen, so you go check that video out. Anyway guys, that is pretty much it for this video. Check out my matchup videos, check out my Darius guide, check out my, champion guides in general, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.